It's not that video games make you violent, Celine Fleur, but video games are political, you know? It's kind of like if your favorite thing to do after school every day was watching Saving Private Ryan, you know? I don't think it makes you a violent person, but I think if it becomes part of your habit, I think like uncritically taking in any kind of media has an effect on someone. And I don't think that the effect of Call of Duty is that it makes you violent or it makes you someone who's capable of killing. But I do think it normalizes a specific political worldview. You know, a worldview where you're like, yeah, no, all of Latin and South America combined could try and hijack a high-powered laser to attack America, and that would be bad. And so we'd have to stop them by bombing them. You know, like it's like that's the more insidious part. It's not that video games make you violent, it's that the language of the game becomes internalized. The framework and worldview of the game can become internalized. And the terminology can become normalized. The uncritical engagement with violence can become internalized. I don't think Mortal Kombat makes you like more violent. I don't think that either. But I think all video games, all art is political, and uncritically taking those messages in can lead you to uncritically putting those messages out and acting accordingly. That's so important, uncritically. I was talking with my partner today about like 80s films and like specifically like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and the movie Back to the Future, right? And how the casual racism in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I know many of us have already, like, I'm sure, seen or read a think piece or video essay on the Indiana Jones films or whatever, but the level of casual racism, if it's not pointed out to you, and you are raised as a kid and you just watch those movies and you're like, haha, chilled monkey brains, gross. But you never engage with the fact that, like, that's an incredibly racist and offensive depiction of, like, Indian food, you know? Like, ew, they eat chilled monkey brains and scorpions that are still alive? Oh! Like, it's just not true. It's a racist stereotype. But, like, if you uncritically engage with that, and it becomes, like, a movie series that you watch numerous times, like, you can kind of internalize that idea. It can fuck you up in a bunch of different ways. Like, rob you of the joy of enjoying Indian food, or, you know, destroy your ability to connect with people from India who are cool and awesome. You know, like, you know, that uncritical engagement can hurt you and rob you of, like, a better understanding of the world. Because it's a shorthand, right? Like, it's a shorthand to not be curious about these places and just to write them off, you know? And, like, that's only just one aspect of the movie. But, like, in the aspect of Back to the Future, I think there's, like, a pretty interesting example, which, you know, as a kid, I saw Back to the Future and I was just like, oh yeah, that's a good, fun movie. But as an adult, you go back and you watch that and you're like, if you're engaging with it critically and not just like through nostalgia glasses, you're like, wait a minute. Marty McFly's dad is like a fucking creep. Like, he's a fucking creep. He's like spying on girls in his neighborhood who are undressing. And, like, not only that, but Marty McFly's plan at the end of the movie is to pretend to rape his own mom. And his dad is in on this plan, and his mom is not. And, like, if you aren't critically engaging with that, you can get your entire idea of what is acceptable completely fucked up in, like, you know, interpersonal relationships. What is this movie? Back to the Future. Very famous, very, very famous movie. I don't remember that part of the movie. T-Life, it's from the end of the movie where, you know, his Marty McFly's mom, because he time traveled back to the 1950s, has become infatuated with Marty McFly from the future, who is her son, again from the future. And because Marty time traveled, he fucked up his mom and dad meeting. And so his plan to make his mom fall in love with his pervert dad, that his pervert dad signs off on, is on the night of the, you know, Magic Under the Sea dance, Marty is going to go in, like, park in the parking lot with his mom, who he's going to the dance with, and then start to sexually assault his mom. And then his dad is gonna step in and stop him and look like a hero, and then his mom is gonna fall in love with his dad, ensuring that Marty in the future winds up being born. But that is a real thing that happens in the movie Back to the Future. Again, if you're not critically engaging with that point of the movie, you're ingesting into yourself and seeing as acceptable, uncritically, this entire thing happen. Okay? How did that film get popular? Because people didn't critically engage with that point of the movie. Yeah, Magical Girl Madness, exactly. What the fuck? I haven't seen it since childhood. I want you to think about this. If it's the 1950s, and you are parked in a car with a guy, and that guy starts kissing you, and you're telling him to stop, and he's not stopping, that's sexual assault. And then Biff steps in to sexually assault her instead, for real. But Marty's dad was in on the fake sexual assault the entire time. And like, yeah, like, this is a huge problem. When you uncritically engage with media in this way, it can really fuck you up. It can really fuck you up. Yeah, they use a lot of euphemisms, of course, in Back to the Future, but like, you're right, Hit the Mat. It's presented as getting fresh with or playful when it's the good guy, but then Biff steps in to actually rape his mom. It's why you need to be like, when you are showing these films, like, you know, your nephews or nieces or your kids at some point, like, it's why you need to have conversations about those parts of the movie. Because, like, if you aren't having them with your kids, they're not going to necessarily arrive at those conclusions about those parts on their own, and might take those lessons to heart in a way that could cause a lot of harm. And in a similar way, uncritically, imbibing, we'll say, imbibing messages from, like, Call of Duty games can also fuck you up, you know? Anyway, that's my little rant about media and the need for critical engagement with media, and why you shouldn't just be like, oh, it's just a fun movie, because you should be engaging for fun with media. And it's okay to enjoy media that has problems. You just need to be aware about what those problems are. You know? You need to be aware of what you are watching. Just like maybe you'd want to be aware if there was like a piece of rancid meat in the food you're eating. Like, you'd want to be prepared to, like, have some major shits. I don't know. Like, that's a bad analogy, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Finding out all my favorite classic movies are problematic in some ways right now. I'm sad, but it's good. You can still enjoy things that are not perfect, because all media is imperfect, which makes it interesting. You know? It makes it interesting. And, like, I'm not gonna lie, I recognize there are hella problems with the original Indiana Jones trilogy, but I do like watching Indiana Jones punch Nazis into propeller blades on airplanes. I think that's great. Yeah, you're still allowed to watch Back to the Future. No one can take that from you. It's still really fun when there's a time traveling DeLorean. But also, the guys who wrote movies in the 80s might not have been morally pure folks, okay?
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.